Hello and welcome back to Mr. English Lab. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. I want you to imagine a soft morning, a very simple morning. The kind that feels calm even before the day begins, because this is where our story starts, and this is where your English practice begins too, in this gentle moment, in this quiet beginning. You are sitting in a small room, a warm room, with sunlight touching the table in front of you, and you can hear the soft sound of a kettle boiling somewhere in the background. And across from you sits a mentor, someone older, someone calm, someone who speaks slowly, someone who has seen many days like this and knows that every day can be different if the mind is ready for it. He looks at you with a small smile, the kind that does not rush you, the kind that says, "It's okay, you are here now and that is enough." And he begins to speak, not like a teacher who wants to fill your head with information, but like someone who wants to understand how you think, how you feel, how you see the world when you wake up each morning. "Tell me," he says in a soft voice, "how do you start your day?" And you do what most people do when they hear this question. You shrug, you smile a little, you say something simple like, "I wake up, I check my phone, I try to get ready for the day." And he nods, as if he has heard this answer many times from many people, and then he leans back in his chair and folds his hands together. "Yes," he says gently, "that is what most people do. But I want to ask you something different. When you wake up, what is the first thought that enters your mind? Not the first habit, not the first action, the first idea, the first feeling, the first whisper inside you." And suddenly the room feels quiet again, because it is not an easy question. You try to remember what you think in the morning, and maybe you don't even know, or maybe your mind is full, or maybe your mind is empty, or maybe your mind feels heavy before the day even begins. The mentor watches your face carefully and he smiles again, the kind of smile that says, "Don't worry, it's okay if you don't know." And then he begins to speak, slowly, like the morning sun rising one small breath at a time. "Most people," he says, "wake up with thoughts that do not help them. Thoughts like, 'I'm tired,' or 'I have too much to do,' or 'I'm not ready.' These thoughts are small, but they create the first feeling of the day. And that feeling becomes the mindset of the day. And that mindset becomes the direction of the day. And one day becomes 1 week, and 1 week becomes 1 month, and suddenly life feels heavy without a clear reason. But the truth is simple. The weight started with one morning thought." He pauses, letting the words settle in your mind, and you feel something inside you shift, just a little, like a door opening that you did not know was closed. He continues, "Today, I want us to explore your mindset. Not in a big, dramatic way. Not by forcing you to change everything, but by helping you understand how your mind shapes your day. And how one simple decision, one simple thought, can change more than you expect." He pours you a cup of tea, slowly, gently, and the smell of it fills the air with warmth. "This tea," he says, "is like your mindset. If the water is calm, the tea becomes clear. If the water is rushed, shaken, disturbed, the tea becomes cloudy. The same is true for your thoughts. Clear thoughts create clear days." You take a small sip and the warmth moves through you, calming you. He watches you with kind eyes. "So today," he says, "I want to take you on a journey. Not a journey across the world, not a journey across mountains or cities, but a journey inside your own thinking. A journey that helps you understand yourself better. A journey where you learn how to guide your mind instead of letting your mind guide you." He leans forward slightly. "We will talk about motivation. We will talk about mindset. We will talk about the quiet battles you fight inside your own head. And we will talk about how to build strength from the inside out. But we will do it slowly. like a calm river, like a peaceful walk, like two people sitting in a quiet room, speaking honestly, without pressure, without fear. You nod, feeling ready in a way you did not expect. Maybe it's the calm atmosphere, maybe it's the slow pace, maybe it's the feeling that today is not about being perfect, but simply about being present. The mentor sees your expression and smiles again. Good, he says softly, because now I want to tell you something important. Something simple. Something most people forget. You do not need to feel motivated to begin. You only need to begin. Motivation grows from movement, not the other way around. He taps his finger lightly on the table, creating a soft rhythm. Think about a door. When it is closed, it may look heavy, difficult, impossible to open. But when you push it just a little, even with a gentle hand, the door begins to move. And once it moves, it becomes easier to open all the way. Your mindset is the same. A closed mind feels heavy. A small push, a small thought, a small action, a small change can open it. He pauses again, letting you breathe, letting the words settle inside you. The morning light becomes brighter, but still soft, and the room feels warm and peaceful. You look around and realize that nothing in this moment feels rushed. Nothing feels loud. Everything feels slow and intentional, like the world is giving you time to understand. The mentor continues, so let's start with something simple. A question many people never ask themselves. What do you want your mind to feel like today? He waits for your answer, but you are not sure what to say. You look down at your hands, you think quietly, and then you say something small, something honest. I want my mind to feel light. The mentor nods, pleased, and he says, good. Lightness is a good place to begin. Now, let me tell you a story. He leans back slightly, as if preparing to share something important. There was once a young person, not much different from you, who carried many thoughts every day. Thoughts about responsibilities, thoughts about expectations, thoughts about what they should be doing, and what they were not doing well enough. These thoughts were like stones. Each stone was small, but carrying them all day made the body tired, made the mind tired. One morning, this person woke up and felt like they were carrying too many stones. So they went to their mentor and said, I don't know why I feel so tired. I don't know why life feels heavy. And the mentor said, show me your stones. But of course, the stones were not real. They were just thoughts. Thoughts like, I am not enough, I am failing, I am too slow, I am behind, I should be better by now. And the mentor said, these stones are not your true weight. These stones are just stories your mind repeats. You can let them go if you choose. And you see, this is the lesson. The heaviness you feel is often not the world. It is the story you tell yourself about the world. He takes another sip of tea and looks at you kindly. So today, I want to help you tell yourself a new story. Not a fake story. Not a forced story. But a true story. A story about strength. A story about progress. A story about trying, learning, growing. A story where every small effort you make matters. Even this moment, sitting here, listening, practicing English, breathing slowly, this is progress. This is movement. This is you opening the door. You feel a warmth in your chest, something soft, something hopeful. Maybe you have not felt this way in a long time. The mentor sees this and nods gently. Good, he says, because now we can talk about the next part. The challenge. You see, everyone has challenges. Some challenges are outside, in the world, like work or responsibilities or expectations. But the biggest challenge is inside, the challenge of staying kind to yourself, the challenge of believing in yourself, the challenge of waking up each day and choosing to try again. He stands up slowly and walks to the window, looking out at the morning light. The mind, he says softly, is like a small child. It believes what you tell it. If you tell it you are weak, it believes you. If you tell it you are behind, it believes you. If you tell it you cannot change, it believes you. So today, I want to teach you how to talk to your mind differently. I want to teach you how to speak to yourself with strength. He turns back to you. Repeat this quietly inside your mind. He says, I am learning. I am growing. I am trying. I am improving. I am moving forward. You repeat it silently, slowly, feeling the words shape the inside of your chest, feeling the meaning settle gently. He smiles. Good. This is the beginning. This is how the mind starts to change. Not with big speeches. Not with loud motivation. But with small truths repeated slowly. He sits again, and you notice the air feels different now, warmer, softer, lighter. Now, he says, let's talk about exploration. Exploration means looking inside yourself with curiosity, not judgment. It means asking questions, not blaming yourself. For example, why do you want to improve your mindset? Why do you want to feel motivated? Why do you want to change your thinking? You think quietly, and he nods. Most people think motivation is about finishing something. But true motivation is about becoming someone. Someone who is calm. Someone who is confident. Someone who is consistent. Someone who can breathe through difficulty and keep moving. He continues speaking, guiding you deeper into your own thoughts, helping you see parts of yourself you have not looked at before. He talks about small fears, small hopes, small dreams, and how they shape every day. He talks about the power of gentle discipline, the power of repetition, the power of simple positive messages that the mind can understand. And slowly, you feel something inside you changing, not dramatically, not suddenly, but softly, like a flower opening in slow motion. You begin to realize that motivation is not something you wait for. It is something you build. It is something you choose. It is something you practice every day, even on difficult days. The mentor sees this realization forming inside you and smiles with deep satisfaction. Yes, he says, this is the moment I wanted you to reach, the moment when you understand that your mindset is not your enemy. It is your partner. And when you speak to it with kindness, when you guide it with clarity, it begins to work with you, not against you. He places his hand gently on the table, steady and calm. This, he says, is your transformation. Not a transformation of your life, not yet, but a transformation in the way you see yourself. You are no longer waking up with heavy thoughts. You are waking up with awareness. And awareness is power. He stands again, slowly, with intention. Before we finish this first part, he says, I want you to remember one thing. Your mind listens to you. Every thought you choose becomes a seed. Every seed grows into something. So choose thoughts that help you grow. The light in the room grows stronger, filling the space with warmth. You take a breath, a deep one, and you feel the quiet strength inside you. The mentor smiles gently, proudly, knowingly. Today, he says softly, you began something important. Something simple. Something powerful. This is your takeaway. You can shape your day by shaping your first thought. And you can shape your life by shaping one day at a time. The next morning arrives softly, and when you step into the same quiet room, the same warm light touching the wooden table, you feel something different inside you, something you did not fully expect, but you welcome it anyway, a small feeling of readiness, like a quiet breath that says, I'm here, I'm trying. The mentor is already there, sitting calmly, his eyes kind, as if he has been waiting for you, but without any impatience, simply trusting that you would come when you were ready. He gestures for you to sit, and as you settle into the chair, you notice how comfortable it feels now, almost familiar, like a place you belong. The mentor looks at you slowly, with that soft smile he always carries, and he says, Good morning. Tell me, how was your mind today when you woke up? You think about it, truly think about it, and you realize that your morning was a little different. Your first thought was not heavy. It was not rushed. It was quiet, simple, maybe even hopeful. And when you tell him this, the mentor nods with gentle pride, as if he expected this small shift, as if he knew this would happen the moment you took that first step yesterday. Good, he says in a warm voice. That means you listened to yourself. That means your mind listened too. He pours tea again, slowly, carefully, the sound soft like rain on a quiet afternoon. Today, he says, I want to talk about something very important. Something that shapes everything you do. Something that lives inside you all the time, even when you are not paying attention. He looks at you steadily, and then he says the words, I want to talk about the voice inside your mind. You feel a small shift, a small curiosity rising up, because you know that voice well. The voice that speaks when no one is watching, the voice that comments on everything you do, the voice that can be your best friend or your worst enemy. You nod slowly, and the mentor continues. You see, he says, everyone has this voice. It never stops. It speaks while you walk, while you rest, while you study, while you work, while you think about your life. And the problem is not that the voice exists. The problem is that most people never learn how to guide it. They let the voice say anything, repeat anything, create any story, without control, without awareness. But when you learn to guide that voice, you learn how to guide your life. He sits back a little, giving the words space. Before we continue, he says, I want you to listen inside yourself for one moment. Close your eyes if you want. And just notice, what is the voice inside you saying right now? You try. You listen. Maybe your mind is saying, I'm listening, or I'm curious, or I hope I understand this, or perhaps something else, something quieter, something you rarely notice because you are so used to hearing it. When you open your eyes, the mentor studies your expression and nods slowly. Good. You heard something. That means you are aware. And awareness is always the first step. He takes a breath and continues with a softer tone. Most people's inner voice is not kind. It's full of pressure. It's full of fear. It's full of old stories they have learned from others. Sometimes the voice says, you are too slow. Sometimes it says, you are not good enough. Sometimes it says, you will fail. Sometimes it says, why try? It won't work. But these are not truths. These are habits. Thought habits. And like any habit, they can be changed. He taps the table lightly, creating the same calm rhythm as yesterday. Let me ask you something, he says. When you talk to a friend who is struggling, do you speak kindly to them? Do you speak with softness, with patience, with encouragement? You nod, because of course you do. When a friend is hurting, you speak gently. You support them. You remind them of their strength. Good, the mentor replies. Now tell me, why do you not speak to yourself the same way? The question is simple, but it hits you deeply because you realize you have never thought about it like this. You always believed you were being realistic, being responsible, being self-critical to improve. But suddenly, it feels like maybe you have been too hard on yourself for too long. The mentor sees this realization forming in your face, and he nods with a slow, knowing smile. Yes, he says gently, you understand now. You would never speak to a friend the way your mind sometimes speaks to you. And that is what we must change. He leans forward slightly. Today's challenge, he says, is to learn how to guide that inner voice. Not silence it, because that is impossible, and it is not the goal. The goal is to teach your inner voice to support you instead of judge you, to help you instead of hurt you, to guide you instead of stop you. You take a deep breath, feeling the importance of this lesson settle inside you. The mentor continues, to guide your inner voice, you must first understand where it comes from. Every voice inside your head is a memory of something someone said to you long ago, something you felt when you were younger, something you believed because you thought you had no choice. But you have a choice now. He tells you a small story, simple but full of feeling. There was once a student who tried very hard in everything they did. But no matter how well they did, they always felt it wasn't enough. Their inner voice always said, you could be better, or you should have done more. And one day, the student finally asked their mentor, why does my voice always push me so hard? Why is it never satisfied? And the mentor replied, because the voice was created in a time when you thought you were not safe, not strong, not ready. It was trying to protect you. But now you are older. You are stronger. You are wiser. You do not need that kind of protection anymore. The students slowly realized that their inner voice wasn't evil, it was just old. It was outdated. It was trying to use old methods to help in a new life. And this is true for many people. Maybe it is true for you too. You feel something open inside your chest, like a window letting in sunlight, and the mentor continues speaking with a voice that is soft but steady. So today, he says, I want you to start speaking to yourself with the respect you deserve. I want you to hear your inner voice, and when it speaks with fear, I want you to answer with calm. When it speaks with doubt, I want you to answer with truth. When it speaks with worry, I want you to answer with strength. He stands slowly, walking to the bookshelf near the window, choosing a small notebook with a soft cover on mind. He places it in front of you. This is not homework, he says kindly, but I want you to use this notebook to talk to your mind. When you feel confused, write what the inner voice is saying. Then write your answer. Teach your mind how to speak to you. It will learn. Your mind always learns from your responses. He sits down again, folding his hands calmly. Now, he says, let us explore deeper. When you hear your inner voice say, I cannot, I want you to pause and ask, is that true? Or is it just fear? When your voice says, I will fail, ask, have I failed yet? Or is this only worry? When your voice says, I am not good enough, ask, according to who? When your voice says, it's too late, ask, why not now? These questions may seem small, but they are powerful. They open the mind. They show the mind that it does not control you, you guide it. The mentor smiles gently, then says something that feels like the heart of the lesson. Your mind is not a prison. Your thoughts are not chains. They are just messages. And you can choose which messages to accept. You feel this deeply. You feel it in your breath, in your chest, in your awareness. The mentor sees this and continues. Most people think their thoughts are the truth. But thoughts are not truth. Thoughts are stories. And you, only you, decide which story becomes your life. He gives you a moment to breathe, to think, to absorb everything. Then he adds, the realization I want you to reach today is simple. You have the power to rewrite your inner voice. You have the power to teach it a new language, the language of encouragement, the language of patience, the language of growth. You feel this truth settling inside you, grounding you. The mentor nods in approval. Good, he says softly. Now for the transformation. From today forward, whenever your mind speaks with doubt, I want you to pause and answer softly, kindly, firmly. I want you to speak to yourself like a mentor speaks to a student, with patience, with belief, with strength. This is not weakness. This is not pretending. This is leadership. You are leading your. He stands again, slowly, looking out at the brightening sky. Let me tell you something important before we end this part, he says. Your mind will not change in one day. It will not suddenly become positive. It will not suddenly become silent. But it will listen to you. And over time, your inner voice will begin to change. It will begin to soften. It will begin to trust you. And one day, you will wake up and realize that the voice inside you is no longer fighting you, it is supporting you. He returns to his chair, sitting slowly, thoughtfully. Before you go, he says, here is your reflection. Every time you hear your inner voice today, do not judge it. Do not fear it. Just listen. Then answer with kindness. That is all. That is enough. You are building something new. You are becoming someone stronger. Finally, he gives you the takeaway. The voice inside your mind is not your enemy. It is your student. and you're its teacher. Teach it gently. Teach it clearly. Teach it with love. When you walk into the room on the third morning, something feels different even before the mentor speaks, something inside you that is softer, quieter, more awake, as if your mind has already started listening to you in a new way, even without you trying too hard. The mentor notices this immediately. He always does. He looks at you the way someone looks at a person who has just crossed an invisible bridge, a bridge they did not even know they were walking on. The sunlight today is warmer, brighter, almost golden, and for a moment you just stand there, breathing in the calm air, breathing out the leftover noise from yesterday. The mentor gestures for you to sit, and when you do, he watches you with careful eyes, kind eyes, eyes that see more than you say. You look lighter today, he says softly. Tell me, what changed? You think about it, you try to find the right words, and eventually you say something small but true. I listened to my thoughts, and I answered them differently. The mentor smiles, the kind of smile that appears slowly, the kind that means he is proud not of what you did but of who you are becoming. Good, he says, that means you are learning. That means you are beginning to take responsibility for your inner world. And today, we will go deeper. Today, we will talk about the weight you carry. You feel something stir inside you, curiosity, maybe, or quiet fear, or both, because even though you want to understand yourself, you know that this lesson might touch the parts of you that are not easy to talk about. But the mentor's calm presence makes you feel safe, ready, grounded, so you breathe slowly and listen. He leans back in his chair and begins gently. Everyone carries something. Stress, pressure, memories, expectations, responsibilities, fear, and these things sit inside the mind like stones in a pocket. One stone does not feel heavy, but many stones together make movement slow, thinking heavy days long. When you feel tired even when you have not done much, when you feel heavy even though nothing terrible happened, it is often because of invisible stones. And today, I want to help you see them. Not to judge them, not to throw them away quickly, but to understand them. He folds his hands together in a calm, steady way and continues. Most people think they are tired because of life, but the real reason is often the weight they carry inside their mind. The weight of old worries. The weight of things left unfinished. The weight of trying to be perfect. The weight of trying not to disappoint anyone. The weight of trying to be strong all the time. And this weight affects everything: your motivation, your energy, your confidence, your hope. You swallow gently, because you know this feeling. You have felt this heaviness many times without knowing where it came from, and now the mentor is giving the feeling a shape, a story, a reason. He watches your face and says softly, "Let me ask you something honest. What is the weight you carry?" You look down for a moment, not because you are ashamed, but because the question reaches deeper than you expected. Maybe your weight is responsibility. Maybe it is fear of failing. Maybe it is fear of not being enough. Maybe it is pressure you place on yourself every day. Maybe it is something from the past, something you still hold even though it is not part of your life anymore. The mentor does not rush you. He waits with patience, the kind of patience that gives you room to breathe. And when you finally speak, even if you only say a few words, he nods with deep understanding, as if he already knew, as if he has heard many stories like yours, as if he understands that your weight makes sense. "Thank you," he says softly. That is honesty. And honesty is the beginning of healing. He takes a slow sip of tea, then places the cup down gently. Now, he continues, "I want you to understand something important. The weight you carry is not a problem. It is not a weakness. It is not something you should feel guilty about. It is simply a sign that you have lived, that you have tried, that you have cared. And caring always comes with weight. But some weight is no longer needed. Some weight is only habit. Some weight is only memory. Some weight is only fear pretending to be responsibility. And the moment you learn to separate what must be carried from what can be released, your life begins to change. He stands and walks slowly to the window, looking out at the soft movement of the morning outside. "Let me tell you a story," he says gently, "about a traveler who walked through a long journey carrying a heavy backpack. At first, the backpack was necessary. It held food, tools, water, everything needed to begin the journey. But as the traveler grew stronger, the tools became less necessary. The road became easier. The traveler no longer needed everything in the backpack. But the traveler never opened the backpack to check. They kept carrying everything, mile after mile, never questioning what was still needed. And one day, the traveler met a wise old man who asked, 'Why do you carry so much?' The traveler answered, 'Because I don't know what will happen tomorrow.' And the old man said, 'Yes, that is true. But do you need to carry yesterday for tomorrow?' You feel the meaning settle inside you slowly, gently. The mentor turns back toward you with soft eyes. 'This is you,' he says kindly. 'You have been carrying yesterday into today. You have been carrying old expectations into new moments. You have been carrying old fear into fresh opportunities. And today, I want you to open your backpack. I want you to look inside.' He returns to the table and sits again, his posture relaxed, grounded, peaceful. 'Let us explore this together,' he says. 'What is one thing you have been carrying for a long time, something that makes you feel heavy, something that makes you doubt yourself?' You think quietly, deeply. Maybe it is self-pressure. Maybe it is fear of judgment. Maybe it is an old voice from childhood saying you are not enough. Maybe it is the feeling of needing to be perfect. Maybe it is the belief that you must always be strong. Whatever it is, when you name it softly, the mentor nods with calm understanding. 'Good,' he says gently. 'Now we know what we are looking at.' He continues speaking, guiding you deeper. 'The challenge today is to see your weight with clarity. Not to run from it. Not to pretend it is not there. But to face it with honesty and calm. Because when you face it, you take away its power. When you bring it into the light, it cannot hide. And when it cannot hide, you can choose what to do with it.' His voice becomes even softer, almost like a whisper. 'You are stronger than your weight. You are bigger than your fear. You are more capable than your doubts. But you cannot see your strength when your mind is full of old stones. So today, we remove one stone at a time.' He guides you gently through a simple reflection, speaking slowly, giving you time to breathe. 'Think of one belief that makes your life harder,' he says. 'Maybe it is, I must succeed quickly. Maybe it is, I cannot make mistakes. Maybe it is, I must be perfect. Maybe it is, others are judging me.' Whatever it is, bring it into your mind now. Hold it gently. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just see it. You do this quietly, and the mentor watches with soft eyes. 'Good,' he says. 'Now ask yourself, where did this belief come from? When did it begin? Is it still true? Or has it become a habit of thinking?' You feel something shift inside, a small realization forming. Maybe the belief is old. Maybe it belongs to a past version of you. Maybe it was someone else's voice, not yours. Maybe it doesn't fit the person you are now.' The mentor nods with approval. 'Yes,' he says gently, 'you see it now. And now we can change it.' He explains slowly, 'To release a weight, you do not need to forget it. You do not need to fight it. You only need to understand it. Understanding is freedom. Understanding is clarity. Understanding is the moment the stone becomes lighter.' He brings his hands together softly. 'And here is the realization I want you to reach today. You do not have to carry everything. You do not have to carry old fear. You do not have to carry old pressure. You do not have to carry old expectations. You can choose what stays. You can choose what goes. You can choose what belongs to your future.' The air in the room feels warmer now, brighter, lighter, as if the room itself is breathing with you. You feel something in your chest loosen, something small but important. The mentor sees this and nods with deep satisfaction. 'This is your transformation,' he says softly. 'You are beginning to see that the weight inside your mind is not permanent. You are beginning to see that your inner world is something you can shape. And when you learn to release old weight, new energy appears. New motivation. New clarity. New strength. He leans back and reflects with you gently. You do not need to rush this. Releasing old thoughts takes time. Understanding old fears takes patience. But every day, every moment you choose to look inside yourself with honesty, you become lighter. You become calmer. You become clearer. He gives you a warm, steady look. And clarity is the root of motivation. Motivation does not come from pressure. It comes from lightness. It comes from understanding. It comes from knowing, I can do this because I am not fighting myself anymore. He closes his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, and then he ends the lesson with the takeaway. You carry many things, but not everything must be carried forever. Today, let one weight go. Just one. Tomorrow, maybe another. This is how your life becomes lighter. Not with big changes, but with small releases. And as the morning light fills the room with golden warmth, you realize something important. You feel lighter already. When you enter the quiet room on the fourth morning, the world outside feels different, as if the air itself is softer, as if the sky understands that you are slowly becoming someone new, someone lighter, someone clearer, someone more aware of the world inside your own mind. The mentor is there again, sitting calmly, waiting for you with the same steady warmth you have come to trust. He looks up as you walk in, and he smiles, not the quick kind of smile people give when they want to be polite, but the slow, gentle smile of someone who truly sees you, someone who recognizes your progress even before you say a word. Good morning, he says in that soft, grounded voice. Tell me, how is your mind today? You sit down, take a breath, and answer honestly. My mind feels clearer, you say. Not perfect, not always calm, but clearer. The mentor nods with deep approval. Yes, he says, that is what happens when you begin to understand the weight you carry. The mind becomes lighter, even if only a little. And a little lightness can change the movement of your entire day. He pours tea again. This has become a ritual now, a small grounding moment that helps your mind slow down, settle, prepare. As he sets your cup down, he says, today we talk about movement. Forward movement. The kind of movement that does not come from pressure, but from clarity. Many people stay stuck in life, not because they are lazy, not because they are weak, not because they lack talent, but because something inside them is frozen. Something inside them is afraid to move. And when the inside is frozen, the outside cannot change. He sits back, watching you gently. But you are not frozen. You are waking up. You have looked at your thoughts. You have heard your inner voice. You have seen your weight. And now you are ready for the next step, learning to move forward. He begins with a soft question. When you think about your future, what do you feel? You take a moment, breathing slowly, trying to find the right words. Maybe you feel hope. Maybe you feel fear. Maybe you feel confusion. Maybe you feel a mix of everything. You share what comes to your mind, and the mentor listens carefully, never interrupting, never rushing, letting your words exist exactly as they are. When you finish, he nods gently. Thank you, he says. Most people never speak honestly about how their future makes them feel. They pretend to be confident. They pretend to have everything under control. But inside, they feel lost, confused, scared. And when you hide these feelings, they grow stronger. But when you speak them, they become smaller, lighter. He takes a slow breath. The truth is simple, he says. The human mind is afraid of the unknown. This is natural. The mind likes comfort. The mind likes routine. The mind likes to know what will happen next. So when you try to move toward your future, the mind says, no, stay where you are. Here is safer. But you are not meant to stay still. You are meant to move. You are meant to grow. You are meant to explore. You are meant to see more than what you already know. He looks at you with steady eyes. So let us understand the real challenge. The challenge is not your future. The challenge is your fear. He leans forward slightly. Tell me, he says, what stops you from moving forward? What is the thought? What is the fear? For a moment you hesitate, not because you do not know the answer, but because speaking it out loud makes it real. But the mentor's gentle presence makes you feel safe, so you eventually say it. Maybe it is fear of failing. Maybe it is fear of not being good enough. Maybe it is fear of judgment. Or maybe it is fear of change itself. Whatever it is, when you speak it, the mentor nods with calm understanding. Yes, he says softly. This fear makes sense. It is normal. But it is not stronger than you. The problem is that you have been listening to fear instead of leading it. He places his hands together, his voice deep with meaning. I want you to understand something important today. Moving forward is not about removing fear. It is about walking with fear. It is about understanding that fear will always exist, but it does not have to control your steps. It can walk beside you, but it does not need to lead. He pauses, letting the words settle inside your chest. Motivation is not the absence of fear. Motivation is the decision to move even when fear is present. He stands and walks slowly around the room, his hands behind his back, his steps gentle and thoughtful. Let me tell you another story, he says, about a young gardener who wanted to grow a beautiful tree. The gardener was afraid that the seed would not grow, afraid that the soil was not good enough, afraid that the tree would not survive the storms. So the gardener waited, and waited, and waited. Many seasons passed, but the gardener never planted the seed. One day, an older gardener walked by and asked, "Why have you not planted anything?" And the young gardener said, "Because I am afraid the tree will not grow." The older gardener smiled gently and said, "If you do not plant the seed, it will never grow. If you plant it, it might. But if you never begin, you already have the answer. Nothing will grow." The mentor stops walking and looks at you. "You see," he says softly, "your dreams are seeds. Your goals are seeds. Your future is a seed. And fear keeps telling you, what if it doesn't grow? But you must ask yourself, what if it does? What if something beautiful grows from the small action you take today?" He gestures toward you. This is the exploration we do today. Exploring the fear. Exploring the possibility. Exploring the truth that you have been waiting for a perfect moment to begin, but the perfect moment does not exist. There is only now, and now is enough. He sits down again, calmly, and continues, "When you feel stuck, it is not because you do not know what to do. It is because you expect yourself to move perfectly. But movement does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be honest. It only needs to be small. Small movements create momentum. Momentum creates change. And change creates progress." He taps the table softly 3 times to emphasize the rhythm. Small steps. Small moments. Small beginnings. This is how you move forward. He looks at you with warm, steady eyes. The realization I want you to reach today is simple. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are simply beginning. And beginnings always feel slow. Always feel uncertain. Always feel fragile. But this is how every strong journey starts. You feel a soft pressure in your chest, not heavy like before, but alive, like something inside you is waking up, stretching, preparing to move. The mentor sees this and smiles. "Yes," he says gently, "you feel it. That is your future calling you. Not with loud noise, not with pressure, but with a quiet pull, a quiet whisper saying, 'Move toward me.'" He takes another sip of tea and continues in a softer tone. "Now comes the transformation. Today, you will choose one small movement. Not a big decision. Not a huge change. Not something that scares you too much. Just one small step. Maybe it is writing something down. Maybe it is making a plan. Maybe it is cleaning a small corner of your life. Maybe it is practicing English for 10 minutes with intention. Maybe it is sending a message you have been afraid to send. Maybe it is starting something you always delay. He smiles. Whatever it is, let it be small. But let it be real. He pauses, then adds, every time you take one small step, your fear becomes smaller. Your confidence becomes bigger. Your mind learns we can move. And when the mind learns it can move, the body follows. The actions follow. The life follows. He leans forward slightly, his voice deep and warm. When you take a step toward your future takes a step toward you. You breathe deeply as he says this, feeling something shift inside you again, something powerful, something clear. The mentor nods, satisfied with your reaction. Good, he says. This is the energy I want you to carry today. He closes the lesson with reflection. Ask yourself, what is one small step I can take today? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Something gentle. Something real. Something possible. You think quietly, and he nods as if he knows you already found something meaningful. Good, he says again, his voice soft and reassuring. That step is enough. Finally, he gives you the takeaway. Forward movement does not begin with strength. It begins with willingness. And you already have that. When you walk into the quiet room on the 5th morning, you notice something you did not notice before. The room feels brighter, the air feels lighter, and even your own footsteps feel different, almost softer, almost more grounded. As if your body has begun to understand what your mind has been learning these past days. The mentor sits in his usual place, calm and steady, looking out the window as if he is watching the morning slowly unfold. When he hears your footsteps, he turns and smiles, a warm, familiar smile that makes the whole room feel safe. Good morning, he says gently. Today, you look different. You sit down, unsure of what he means, but you feel something inside your chest shift, like recognition, like truth. Different how? You ask softly. The mentor studies your face quietly, then says, you look more present. More awake. More aware. You look like someone who is beginning to see themselves clearly. You feel a small warmth spread through your body, because even though you did not realize it before, something inside you has indeed changed. Maybe it is the way you think now. Maybe it is the way you talk to yourself. Maybe it is the way you breathe. You are not sure, but you know something inside you is not the same as before. The mentor pours you tea again. This ritual now feels like a grounding moment, a beginning signal, a moment that reminds your mind to slow down. As he sets the cup in front of you, he says, today, we talk about identity. We talk about the person you want to be. You blink slowly, surprised. You expected motivation or mindset or something about fear again, but his words feel bigger, deeper, more personal. Identity? You ask softly. Yes, he says with calm certainty. You have changed your thoughts. You have changed your inner voice. You have released old weight. You have learned to move forward even when fear exists. But today we must talk about something even deeper, who you believe you are. Because your actions follow your identity. Your choices follow your identity. And your future follows your identity. He leans back slightly, giving you a moment to absorb this. If you see yourself as someone who is weak, you will act weak. If you see yourself as someone who always fails, you will act in ways that prove that belief. If you see yourself as someone who cannot change, your life will not change. But when you begin to see yourself as someone who is learning, someone who is growing, someone who is capable, someone who is strong, everything in your life begins to move in a new direction. You feel your breath deepen as his words settle inside you. Something about what he says touches a part of you that you don't usually think about, the part that quietly shapes all of your decisions without you even noticing. Let me ask you something, the mentor says gently. When you think about the person you are today, what words come to your mind? You pause. You try to answer honestly. Maybe you think of yourself as someone who tries hard. Maybe you think of yourself as someone who worries a lot. Maybe you think of yourself as someone who is trying to improve. Maybe you think of yourself as someone who gets stuck sometimes. Whatever words come to your mind, you speak them softly, carefully, truthfully. The mentor listens without judgment. When you finish, he nods slowly. Thank you, he says. That honesty is important. But now I must ask you another question, one even more important than the first. He leans forward slightly, his eyes steady and calm. Who do you want to be? The room becomes completely silent. You feel your chest tighten, not in fear but in awareness, in realization. You have never truly asked yourself this question before. You have thought about goals. You have thought about tasks. You have thought about responsibilities. But identity, the person you want to become, that is a deeper question, a question that requires you to look inside your own heart. The mentor watches you carefully, kindly. Do not rush, he says softly. Take your time. Listen to your heart, not your fear. And so you think. Really think. Maybe you want to be someone calmer. Someone more confident. Someone more consistent. Someone who speaks kindly to themselves. Someone who follows through on their dreams. Someone who does not hide from life. Someone who tries even when it is difficult. Someone strong. Someone gentle. Someone patient. Someone bold. Someone who grows a little every day. You share whatever comes to your mind, and the mentor listens like every word you say matters, because it does. When you finish speaking, he smiles gently. Good, he says. Now we can begin. He takes a deep breath and continues. The challenge today is to understand the gap between who you think you are and who you want to be. This gap exists for everyone. It is not a mistake. It is not a weakness. It is simply a space where growth happens. He taps the table lightly. Most people feel this gap, and instead of moving forward, they become afraid. They feel the distance between their present self and their future self, and they think the distance is too big. So they stop. They quit. They stay where they are. Not because they cannot change, but because they are overwhelmed by the size of the journey. He shakes his head gently. But here is the truth. You do not need to cross the whole gap today. You only need to take one step toward the person you want to become. He stays quiet for a moment, letting the idea fill the air slowly. Then he adds, you are not far from your future. You are simply one step away from beginning. The mentor stands and starts to walk slowly around the room, his steps soft, thoughtful. Let me tell you a story, he says gently, about a sculptor who wanted to carve a beautiful statue. At the beginning, the stone looked huge, impossible to shape. The sculptor felt afraid. But the sculptor knew something important. A statue is not made with one big cut. It is made with many small movements. One careful touch. One gentle cut. One patient moment at a time. And slowly, the stone begins to reveal the shape inside it. He turns to you. This is your life. This is your identity. You are not trying to become someone new in one big action. You are carving who you want to be one small thought at a time, one small habit at a time, one small decision at a time. You feel something warm inside you, a quiet realization forming, like a small flame growing brighter. The mentor sees this and nods with calm approval. Now, he says, let us explore the habits of identity. He sits again and continues, every identity has habits. If you want to be someone confident, confident people have habits. If you want to be someone calm, calm people have habits. If you want to be someone motivated, motivated people have habits. And the truth is this, you do not need to wait until you feel confident to act like a confident person. You do not need to wait until you feel motivated to act like a motivated person. You can choose the habits of the person you want to be, and when you practice those habits, you become that person. He smiles gently as he says this. Identity is not something you discover. Identity is something you build. He leans forward, his voice soft but full of strength. Let me ask you this. If you are already the person you want to be, what is one small thing you would do today? You breathe slowly, thinking deeply. Maybe you would speak with more kindness. Maybe you would take a small step toward a dream. Maybe you would finish something you usually delay. Maybe you would practice English with more confidence. Maybe you would stop doubting yourself so quickly. The mentor watches your face and nods slowly. Yes, he says gently. That is your step. That is the habit of your new identity. He explains further. Identity is not created by big moments. Identity is created by repetition. Every small action is like a vote for the person you want to become. When you choose calm, you become calmer. When you choose courage, you become braver. When you choose patience, you become stronger inside. And when you choose effort, you become someone who grows. He pauses, then says softly, the realization I want you to reach today is simple but powerful. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you truly are. The person you want to be already exists inside you. Your job is not to create that person. Your job is to uncover them. You feel this deeply. It settles into your heart like truth you forgot but always knew. The mentor smiles, seeing the understanding in your eyes. Good, he says softly. Now we can talk about transformation. He folds his hands gently. Transformation is not magic. Transformation is not sudden. Transformation is daily practice. It is choosing your identity even on days when you feel tired. It is choosing your identity even on days when fear whispers loudly. It is choosing your identity even when your mind doubts you. He continues, your transformation begins the moment you choose a new self-image. The moment you say, I am someone who tries. I am someone who grows. I am someone who takes small steps every day. He gives you a long, steady look. You are already becoming this person. Finally, he ends with reflection. Today, ask yourself only one question. What is one small action I can take today that matches the person I want to be? He pauses, letting the question settle. And whatever your answer is, do it. Not perfectly. Not quickly. Just honestly. He finishes with the takeaway, identity is a direction, not a destination. And today, you took another step toward becoming the person you are meant to be. When you enter the quiet room on the 6th morning, something feels different from the very first moment. The world outside seems brighter, even though the sun has only begun to rise. The gentle light touches everything softly, the walls, the floor, the small table, the teacups, and even your own hands. It is almost as if the room has been waiting for you. The mentor stands near the window with his hands resting gently behind his back. When he turns and sees you, his smile is warm, almost proud, like someone who has watched a great journey unfold slowly and beautifully. Good morning, he says softly, his voice calm, steady, and full of quiet strength. Today is an important day. You sit down, feeling the truth in his words even though you don't know what he means yet. There is something different in the air, a kind of peaceful energy, a feeling that something is coming to completion, something meaningful and deep. The mentor sits across from you and pours tea with the same gentle care you have seen every morning, but today the moment feels more symbolic, more like a ceremony, more like a beginning and an ending at the same time. As he sets the cup in front of you, he says, today, we talk about purpose. Not the purpose of a lifetime, that is too big. Not the purpose of society, that is too far. We talk about the simple purpose you carry inside you every single day, the purpose that guides your steps, the purpose that shapes your choices, the purpose that helps you wake up with clarity and move through the world with meaning. You breathe slowly, feeling a soft awareness rising inside you. Purpose. It is a big word. A word people use often, but a word many people do not understand deeply. Maybe you have asked yourself before, what is my purpose? Maybe you have felt confused. Maybe you have felt lost. Maybe you have felt like your life is supposed to mean something, but you don't know what that something is. The mentor watches your face and nods as if he can see every thought passing through your mind. Purpose is not something you find, he begins gently. Purpose is something you choose, something you create, something you practice. Many people believe purpose is one big thing, a dream, a mission, a grand achievement. But the truth is much simpler. Purpose is a direction, a way of moving through life, a way of showing up in your own story. He smiles softly. Purpose is not a job. Purpose is not a title. Purpose is not a position. Purpose is the energy you bring into the world every day. You listen quietly, letting his words settle deep inside you, because something about what he says feels true, feels real, feels human. The challenge, he continues, is that people think purpose must be perfect. They think purpose must be big, extraordinary, impressive. They believe purpose must be something others admire. But real purpose is small, steady, personal. Real purpose is built from the inside, not the outside. Real purpose is about the kind of person you choose to be today, not the recognition you hope to receive someday. He looks at you with warm eyes. So today, we explore your daily purpose, the purpose that comes from your heart, not from your fear, not from other people's expectations, not from society's pressure. He takes a sip of tea, then leans forward slightly. Let me ask you something, he says in a gentle tone. When you wake up in the morning, what feeling do you want to carry with you? What energy do you want to bring into your day? What intention do you want to guide your actions? You think quietly for a moment. Maybe you want peace. Maybe you want clarity. Maybe you want courage. Maybe you want kindness. Maybe you want motivation. Maybe you want hope. You share your thoughts softly, and the mentor listens with deep attention, as if each word you say is part of a larger truth you are uncovering. When you finish, he nods calmly. Good, he says. That feeling, that intention, that is your daily purpose. You blink slowly, surprised by how simple it sounds. The mentor gives a small smile. You see, purpose does not need to be complicated. Your daily purpose may be to grow, to learn, to become stronger, to move forward, to care for yourself, to help others, to speak more kindly, to live more honestly, to move with calm, to act with courage. Purpose can be very small, but when practiced every day, it becomes powerful. He stands slowly and walks around the room, his steps soft and deliberate. Let me tell you a story, he says with a gentle tone. A long time ago, a traveler visited a stone yard where 3 workers were shaping blocks of stone. The traveler asked the first worker, "What are you doing?" The worker wiped sweat from his forehead and replied, "I am cutting stone. This is my job." The traveler asked the second worker, "And what are you doing?" The second worker shrugged and said, "I am earning money to feed my family." Then the traveler approached the third worker. This worker smiled as he shaped the stone with slow, careful movements. When the traveler asked, "What are you doing?" the worker said, "I am building a cathedral." The mentor stops walking and looks at you with meaningful eyes. All 3 workers were doing the same task, but only one understood his purpose. Purpose does not change your actions. Purpose changes the meaning behind your actions. And meaning changes everything. You feel a soft warmth spread inside your chest, deeper and deeper. The mentor continues, when you understand your purpose, your days feel lighter. Your challenges feel smaller. Your effort feels meaningful. And your life feels like a story you're writing, not a story you're reacting to. He sits down again with gentle calmness. Now, let us explore your daily purpose more deeply. He folds his hands and asks, what small action, what small habit, what small thought can connect you to your purpose each day? You think quietly, searching your heart. Maybe it is writing a few lines in a notebook each morning. Maybe it is taking a deep breath before you begin your day. Maybe it is speaking to yourself with kindness. Maybe it is giving yourself permission to grow slowly. Maybe it is practicing English with patience instead of frustration. Maybe it is taking one small step toward a dream. You share your answer softly, and the mentor smiles. Yes, he says gently. That is enough. Purpose lives in small actions. You feel clarity rising inside you, like morning light spreading through a quiet valley. The mentor continues, now we reach the realization. Purpose is not something you wait for. Purpose is something you practice. Every time you move with intention, every time you choose a direction, every time you take a step that matches your values, you are living with purpose. He looks at you with warm pride. And you are ready for this. I can see it in your eyes. I can feel it in your presence. You have changed. He takes a long, slow breath. The transformation begins when you no longer move through life unconsciously, but when you begin to live with choice. When you decide, today, I will act with honesty. Today, I will act with courage. Today, I will grow a little more. Today, I will carry myself differently. Purpose is not about control. Purpose is about direction. And you have found your direction. You feel your heart beating gently, not fast, not loud, but steady, like your body understands the truth in his words. The mentor leans forward, his voice soft and full of quiet strength. I want you to imagine something, he says. Imagine your future self standing in front of you. What do you think they would say? What do you think they would thank you for? What small choices would make their life easier, stronger, happier? You close your eyes for a moment. You imagine your future self, calmer, braver, clearer, more confident. You imagine them looking at you with gratitude. You imagine them saying, thank you for taking small steps. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for becoming who we needed you to become. When you open your eyes, the mentor sees the emotion in your face and nods softly. Yes, he says gently. That is purpose. He closes the session with reflection. Every morning, ask yourself this question. What is my purpose today? Not for the rest of your life. Not for the next 10 years. Just today. A simple purpose. A gentle purpose. A human purpose. He pauses, then adds, and when you find that purpose, let it guide your small actions. Finally, he gives you the takeaway, the last one of your journey. His voice becomes soft, slow, almost like a calm river. Purpose is not found in the future. Purpose is found in the present. Purpose is found in the way you wake up, the way you speak to yourself, the way you breathe through difficulty, the way you choose your next step. When you live each day with purpose, your life becomes meaningful, naturally, quietly, beautifully. He smiles, warm and proud. You are ready. Not because you have learned everything, but because you have learned how to learn yourself. The morning light fills the room completely now, golden and gentle, wrapping everything in a soft glow as your journey, your training, and Section 6 come to a peaceful, powerful end. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson here at Mr. English Lab. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me what you want to learn next. Your support helps the channel grow and helps me create more lessons for you. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.